What's going on, everyone? And welcome to the first ever episode here on the channel. I've been waiting a long time to start a YouTube, and there's no better time than the present. For our first ever episode, we're going to do a little series of videos here as we go through the first half of 2025 of the UFC. And for starters, in this video, we're going to be ranking every single UFC pay-per-view that has transpired so far in 2025. Now, our criteria is based on how good the entire card was as a whole. The main card will hold more leverage over the prelims, but we will take the prelims into account. The main event overall will be judged as heavier compared to the rest of the card, as that is the main reason people tune in. We're going to go from 6 being the worst to 1 being the best. So let's see what the best and worst events of the first half of 2025 are. Coming in at number 6, we have UFC 312. And one of the main issues with UFC 312, I will say, is that they just didn't load this up. Okay, they did not load this card up enough at all. And as we kind of go through the card, it does not get progressively better as the event goes on. Now, I do remember I was watching this at my buddy's house, and we were all really excited for the main event between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland after how entertaining that first fight was. As for this rematch, it just wasn't all that. So through the prelims, I mean, obviously you have two good starters. You have that 19-second knockout from Quinlan Sakiad. Decent fight with Johnson Metcalf, Kevin Josette, and then Rong Zhu, Cody Steele, which right now might be in my top 3 or 5 fights of the year. I kid you not. It is that good. It is that good. I encourage everyone to go back and rewatch that fight. Now, Alexander Topira, decent debut. Wang Kong, decent bounce back fight. Tamnil Vyacheslav Borshev, rather forgettable. Gabriel Santos, Jack Jenkins, rather forgettable. And then we get into the main card. And the main card, the main issue you're going to see is there just wasn't any excitement. There really wasn't. Talshan Teixeira starching Justin Tafa was entertaining, but Justin Tafa was the hometown guy. No one was excited about it. Jake Matthews, Francisco Prado, it happened. Jimmy Crute, Rodolfo Bellato was kind of just a mess. Jimmy Crute should have gotten Bellato out of there in round 1 and then proceeded to drop the last 2 rounds, typical Jimmy Crute fashion. And then, oh man, co-main event might be the worst title fight of the year. Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez was such a tough watch. I mean, holy cow, Zhang Weili grappling her through 5 straight rounds. And Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, I mean, the only excitement in the entire fight was Sean Strickland having his nose broken and gushing blood everywhere. And we all thought, oh my gosh, we're going to see a knockout from DDP. And he just never put the pressure on. So UFC 312, it just wasn't that exciting. There's just something missing from this card. And it's not even that there are any pullouts of any kind. It's just that they didn't put any good fighters on this event. Now, I'm not trying to knock anyone here, but I will say from here it does get progressively better. UFC 312, I can probably guarantee that UFC 312 is going to end the year as the worst pay-per-view. Number 5, we have UFC 315. Overall, UFC 315, it had some highlights here and there. As in similar fashion to UFC 312, we get a great knockout to kick off the card. Bekzat Almakhan finally getting Brad Katona out of the UFC. Marc-Andre Barriault knocking out Bruno Silva, the hometown guy winning, was interesting there. Then, Navajo Sterling, Ivan Erzlang. Navajo should have finished him in that, just couldn't somehow. And Modestas Bukakas and Kulaba, as someone who is a massive fan of Modestas Bukakas, it picked him to win. He did not win this fight. Robbery right out. Jasmine Jessica DeVicious destroying Jessica Andrade, very entertaining. Mike Mallet getting a knockout was good. But then we get into the main card. And the main card is what people pay to watch. You can watch the prelims for free on ESPN, ESPN Plus, but the main card is where the real action takes place. And Benoit Saint Denis, Kyle Propolek, it was supposed to be someone else. Benoit Saint Denis was not supposed to be taking on Kyle Propolek, but instead, circumstances, he had to take him on. And it was actually Joe Alvarez. He was supposed to take on Joe Alvarez, and Joe Alvarez didn't make weight. So he takes on Kyle Propolek, and he was just significantly better than Kyle Propolek. And he shouldn't have let this go as long as it did. He should have won in a more entertaining fashion, and it was just kind of whatever. But nonetheless, a finished open the card. Natalia Silva, Alexa Grasso, run-of-the-mill decision. Ahmed Zahabi, Jose Aldo, going to be a run-of-the-mill decision. Then Jose Aldo just about knocks out Ahmed Zahabi, hits him with a nasty knee, and we're like, oh my gosh, Jose Aldo is getting another knockout win. This is going to be incredible. And then he proceeds to get 2 out of himself, gas out, and get out-grappled and lose. So good win for Ahmed Zahabi, but as for the fans, it was just kind of another decision. And then Valentina Shevchenko, Manipura. Now, more close than Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez, but nowhere near the excitement levels of what anyone was expecting. Valentina, 48-47 across the board decision. It was bad. But the main event, I have to say, might be the most surprising fight of the year. I mean, it has to be Jack Della Maddalena, Bilal Muhammad, a fight of the night striking affair. I mean, Bilal Muhammad actually standing and banging with one of the best boxers in the UFC and Jack Della Maddalena. It was entertaining. It was great. I was all for it. And, despite it just being another 5 round decision, it was still a fight of the night. And it was leagues better than the UFC 312 main event. So the real reason that this is lower than most is that the main card just deals with a bit of issues. Like, when we're looking at an event, we do not want to see a bunch of decisions. We want to see finishes. We want to see at least exciting fights. And that's just what UFC 315 didn't have compared to the ones above it. But overall, not too bad of a card. Coming in at number 4, we have UFC 313, and this is a card I will never forget as I elected to stay up and watch it until 1 in the morning instead of going to bed, and I only ended up getting 1 hour sleep before my day of travel to Myrtle Beach. So not the most exciting for me, but, this card, it has some highlights. It really does have some highlights. Now, as you're going to see, only 5 prelims, only 10 fights on the card. This card dealt with a lot of pullouts, a lot of injuries. And looking at the prelims, obviously boring start. Carlos Hill getting a finish, entertaining. Bruno Ferreira getting a finish, entertaining. Joshua Van, always fun to see him, but just your run-of-the-mill prelims. And that's why this is a bit lower. The prelims were very preliminary, if you want to call them that. Nothing too exciting. But the main card is where the action started getting picked up. And Mauricio Ruffy, King Green, I mean, that spinning back kick. Oh my gosh, insane. Insane. The spinning wheel kick might have been called. Unreal. Unreal from Mauricio Ruffy over King Green. And that just lit the place on fire. I mean, it's probably the KO of the year. Right now, we're going to mention other KOs down the line, but this one most definitely in the running for KO of the year. And this kind of reignited the crowd. And this is exactly what we all wanted. UFC 313 Las Vegas. We love this. And then Amanda Lemos proceeds to grapple Yasmin Lucindo to death. Proceeds the grappler through 3 straight rounds. And you're going to look at right there at the stat right there. Yasmin Lucindo, only 4 significant strikes landed. That's not going to cut it. That is not going to cut it in the UFC. And it just kind of drained everyone. Ignacio Mohamedez, Jalen Turner lit the crowd back up. Round 1 finish. I mean, it was okay. It was okay. And then Justin Gaethje, obviously, another fight of the night. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So the main card overall, pretty entertaining. Then we all know Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira, just a boring fight. Just a boring fight. Magomed out grappling Alex Pereira through all 5 rounds. And by the way, didn't even land a takedown. It was all up against the cage. Pereira just never let it go. Pereira just never let that, that hook coming in, a little uppercut action body shot. He never had that. He never had that. He looked very docile, very dormant, similar to Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili, Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad. You were watching a guy lose his belt who's been on a tear, and he's just not even fighting for it. Now, I can't speak to the mind of a fighter. I'm no UFC fighter myself, but it was just a really dumb way to end the card, and it was obviously not a good fight. But we're going to look at the positives on here. A fight of the night, some performance bonuses. Compared to the other two, this was a better pay-per-view card. Now we're getting to the top 3, and at number 3, we have the most recent pay-per-view, UFC 316, coming at you from Newark, New Jersey. I mean, it was good. This was a good card. Obviously, you get it going. Okay, some boring fights here and there, but Ju Sang-yu, Jekka guy, the faceplant knockout. Oh my goodness. This and Mauricio Ruffy. Those are my 2 runners for KO of the year. Insane. Another Wang Kong fight where she just obliterates someone, should have gotten a finish. Andreas Gustafsson, Cass Williamson, not too bad. Walter Cortez Acosta, Sergey Spivak, terrible. Azamat knockout, beautiful. Joshua Van or Bruno Silva finish, beautiful. Should have given him a performance bonus. Just saying. So the prelims left us feeling good as we headed to the main card. We were really feeling really good. And to make matters better, Kevin Holland and Vicente Luque to open up the card. Oh my gosh, just what the doctor ordered. Kevin Holland submits him with his signature choke. That's right, Vicente Luque's signature choke, the Anaconda, the Darce choke, and that's what Kevin Holland hits him with. Oh my goodness, a classic Trailblazer performance. That was amazing. Then we got into Mario Batista, Patchy Mix, and look, I'll say it was better than the Jose Aldo fight, easily. But for a debut for Patchy Mix, a guy who was 20-1, Bellator reigning defending champion, not a good look. Dude just pitched a dud. I think one judge gave him 1 round, but it drained any energy you had from the prelims, and it was just sucking. Then Joe Pyfer, Kelvin Gastelum, we thought we were back. Joe Pyfer comes out, drops Kelvin Gastelum twice, almost finishes him. We're like, Kelvin Gastelum's not making it any farther. He just about fights his way back to almost win. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was boring. It was dull. And even on his post fight interview, Joe Piper was like, "My bad, guys, my bad." And we're like, "We don't want an apology. We just want you to actually compete and actually fight." But he was not feeling like it. So there's nothing we can do when Joe Piper doesn't want to fight. So it was very draining. But where this card ends on a high note, as opposed to some of the other ones we've mentioned, is the co-main and main event were both good. Kayla Harrison getting past Julia Pena, not too hard. A little adversity, Julia Pena defended a takedown, I think, in round one, and then after that, it was a game over. Once Kayla Harrison gets a hold of you, she's taking you down. Mauls submits her, making the women's bantamweight division great again. Can't complain about that. Can't complain about that. We love making the women's bantamweight division great again. Then the main event, Merab, Sean O'Malley. Any malice you had towards Merab from that first fight at the Sphere completely wiped out the door as he just dominates. He just simply dominates Sean O'Malley. I mean, 52 single strikes, 31. That's all on the feet. Okay, 5 takedowns. Sugar couldn't stop a single takedown. And to make matters better, Merab gets a submission win. That is just not something Merab Dvalishvili does. Merab Dvalishvili does not get submission wins. He gets decision wins, but no, he goes out, obliterates Sean O'Malley, does it in classic fashion. He's celebrating. And to make matters better, he's like, you know what? I'll fight anyone in this division. Just keep sending me bantamweights. That's a reigning defending champion we absolutely love. Merab Dvalishvili, you are, as of right now, might be my favorite UFC champion. So, UFC 316, pretty good overall. A couple duds on the main card, but honestly, we can look past that. Coming in at number 2, we have the first event of the year, UFC 311. And some people say the first is best, and in some cases, it really is. This is my second best card of the year. As we can see, run-of-the-mill prelims to start the show, then we get things moving. And this is the only event, I will say, this is the only card which truly has a 5 out of 5 main card. All 5 fights delivered, and it was perfect. It was perfect. And mind you, some fun prelims. Bogdan Guskov, Azat Makov, Bekov getting some finishes. That was okay. Rando Barcelos, Payne Talbot, boring. But it's the main card, which makes this the number 2 pay-per-view currently through the first half of 2025. I will say that Rainier Day Raider, Kevin Holland, I mean, if you're watching this, you just kind of go, Rainier Day Raider basically was like, I can take down Kevin Holland. I'm going to go across the octagon, take him down, submit him. And it was entertaining, to say the least. After that, Halton Almeida, Sergey Spivak, back and forth contest. Halton Almeida, thought was going to get upset for a second, comes back, TKOs his way, bashing in the brains of Sergey Spivak, and he's now the number 6 heavyweight in the world. Jiri Prochazka, Jamal Hill would have been fight of the night had Merab versus Umar not been as electric as it was, but Jiri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, as good as advertised, and you get Jiri Prochazka knockout. Who doesn't love that? Then what may be my current runner for fight of the year, technical, entertaining, and just 2 world-class athletes going at it. Umar seems to be the kryptonite to Merab. He appears to be the perfectly molded specimen to beat Merab Dvalishvili, and he just couldn't do it. Wins the first 2 rounds and drops the last 3, and Merab was even just toying with him and cheering on the crowd. He's doing this to the crowd and getting them all riled up as he's defending his championship. Amazing fight of the night. Perfect. And then, the main event, Islam and Almakano, not bad at all, but it was kind of a depressing submission. It was kind of like Hinata Moicano is, as you can see, 9 single strikes to 6 on the screen, is just getting just a bit better than Makhachev. He'll land a jab, he'll land a kick, little body shot, and then he fails 1 takedown and slips, and Makhachev just takes him down, grabs his neck, and submits him. And you're kind of like, oh, wow, there's a clear skill discrepancy here. But nonetheless, it's a round 1 finish. We absolutely adore that here on the channel. We absolutely love round 1 finishes. And yeah, just a perfect main card. And after watching this, you really left feeling fulfilled. You felt that this main card you had paid for, you had spent 3 hours, maybe even 4 hours of your life watching this, was completely worth it. So UFC 311, 100% great. 2 thumbs up. There's that second thumb. Which leads us to the number 1 pay-per-view currently of the year, UFC 314. This card was just amazing. Just amazing. Some great prelims. Now, any prelims that went the distance weren't entertaining, but look at all these finishes. We kick things off. Rear naked chokehold. Great knockout from Marco Tulio, putting Trayshawn Gore's lights out cold. Michael Okajacek sending that Cedricus Dumas criminal back to the jail cell. I mean, come on, come on. How is this dude not in prison? Julian Arosa getting a knockout of Darren Elkins. You even have Dan Ige down 2 rounds to Sean Woodson unofficially, getting the round 3 finish about a minute in. Simply amazing. The prelims had us all revving and ready to go for the main card, and Dominic Reyes reminds us that he is so back. I mean, I'm telling you, Dominic Reyes is so back for a guy that was on a 4-fight losing streak, knocked out in 3 of them, contemplating retirement. This sent him on a 3-fight knockout streak, and this one, the best of all 3 knockouts. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. Gene Silver, Bryce Mitchell, I mean, just amazing. Just amazing. As good as advertised. Gene Silva is in a league of his own, truly. And by the way, Bryce Mitchell's good. Bryce Mitchell is such a good MMA fighter. Some of his losses, let's be real, Gene Silva, Josh Emmett, Ian Topura, he's only losing to top level guys. And Gene Silva is one of the hottest rising stars in the company. Now, literally the only bad thing, yeah, Rodriguez, Patricio, Pitbull. Like that's really it. Just reminiscent of Patchy Mix, just a guy coming in from Bellator, no name outside of the UFC, and just can't hang with the top guy in the UFC. That's simple as that. And it was kind of draining, did kind of suck, but we're able to look past that as Patty Pimblett, Michael Chandler happened. And oh my goodness, Patty Pimblett mauled him. Michael Chandler landing 4 takedowns. He did nothing with those takedowns. He did nothing. Those 80 cinnamon strikes to 11, just down it. Patty Pimblett winning on the feet, winning in the grappling department. I mean, Patty Pimblett by submission was the clear pick, and instead of round 3 ground and pound TKO, not in my cards. And Patty Pimblett maybe getting a title shot for this. I kid you not. Some people are saying if he gets up here and knocks out Charles Oliveira, which I think he might, that we should give Patty Pimblett the title shot. I completely agree with that. And people are going to say, why? Why do you think he should get a title shot? Well, for example, let's look at all the people who have beaten Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira for a title. Let's look at Dustin Poirier, got a title shot off for it. Justin Gaethje got a title shot off for it. And Charles Oliveira actually got another title shot off of beating Michael Chandler. So it's not insane to say that if you beat Michael Chandler, you can get a title shot. Now, co-main event, one of the best co-main events of the year. This was exciting, action-packed. I loved it. And then the main event. Look, this is up there for fight of the year. This is up there for fight of the year. Volkanovski, Lopez, action-packed until the end. Action-packed until the end. And Volk goes out there, puts on a classic Volk performance in round 1. And everyone's kind of like, geez, okay. Volk is so back. Round 2, Volk's got to get the better of him. And then Lopez drops him. And Lopez is laying on the pressure on him. And had the bell not stopped, I think Lopez would have knocked out Volkanovski in round number 2. Round 3, they're still going at it. You're going to see volume. Obviously, Volk doubled, just about near tripled the significant strikes of Diego Lopez. But it's like for every 10 shots Volk landed, Lopez would follow back one more, and Volk would get rocked. You're like, oh my gosh, Volkanovski's going to get knocked out again. And yet somehow Lopez manages to survive. And, Volk is then able to survive. And it was just so fun. So fun. And when we're talking about a card from the prelims and the main card combined, there is some L's in here. Every fight that went the distance beside the main event was probably an L, but I will say it was still an action-packed card. It has easily been the best card of the year. Now, it's not impossible to top. It really isn't, and I think UFC 317 has a great potential. UFC 318 may have potential. UFC 319, they are loading up with fights. I think UFC 319 may be the best of the year. Just saying. But look, 314, the number 1 pay-per-view of the year as of right now, as good. So with that, those are the current 6 UFC pay-per-views that have taken place so far in 2025. Let me know what you guys think are the best and worst pay-per-views of the year and who we think is going to end the year as champion in each weight class in the comments below. Thank you all so much for listening. We're going to look to deliver even more videos over the coming days. Make sure, subscribe, and make sure to check out the Surprise Jab podcast. We drop it every single week with your official UFC predictions for every card that comes out. Have a good one, folks. I'll see ya.